I'm going to do a quick video on making meatballs. I love meatballs. They're so good. They're so easy. And they're literally my favorite thing to make after work because they take literally no time and they are delicious no matter how you put the ingredients together. So I basically got a package of ground turkey and I use fish sauce first because I want that kind of like funky saline flavoring. So I just put, I don't know, a tablespoon-ish, maybe even less than that. But fish sauce is great because it's just like that other element of like umami, salt, and flavor that you can't really get from other ingredients. I love it. I would definitely recommend having a bottle of that in your house at all times. I'm gonna do a little bit of ground pepper. Tighten that up so it's smaller. Not too much, but I do love black pepper, so it's okay. I'm gonna do a speck of good olive oil, just like a half a teaspoon, just to lube it up, as they say. I've got some Parmesan. It seems really salty, but once everything cooks and you get the breadcrumbs and all this, it kind of like mellows it out a little bit. So I'm just going to do a microplane of about, I don't know, maybe a tablespoon, if that, of Parmesan. And I tend to buy Parmesan cheese from like BJ's or whatever, or Sam's Club, but I don't have membership, so I have people buy it for me. But I always make sure that when I buy it, that the part that I buy has rind on it that has writing, because that basically, in a sort of trashy way, makes it authentic as far as it's actually Parmesan cheese, not like some mimic thing. Okay, it doesn't matter what kind of breadcrumbs you use. I'm just using these 4C panko. You can use literally anything. You could even just, I usually have bread in the freezer. Like I make bread, so when I have bread and I just have like the end butts or the heels, I freeze them, and then when I want to make croutons, which I actually did last night for a salad, I just chop it, put it in the pan with some oil, fry it, or I put it in the blender, the processor, and I make on my own, and it's really delicious. But I'm being lazy with this time. So I'm just gonna do panko. These are seasoned. You don't have to do seasoned, but I just kind of like the extra flavor. So I'm gonna do, I don't know, maybe a quarter cup. That's probably good. Not too much because I don't want them too carby. I need an egg. Egg right in. Then I want to chop some of these. I found these, Mizzetta makes these really good Fresno peppers. I think they're put in vinegar or like a solution of vinegar, but they're really, really tasty. They have a good amount of spice to them, like heat. I'm making myself tea while we talk. And the Fresno pepper is like, it's not as acidic as like a jalapeno or Tabasco. I cannot do Tabasco sauce, but these are delicious. I'm not going to recommend eating one by itself, but on top of a pizza, very good. So I'm going to get a little fork and pull, I don't know, 6 of these out, maybe. Pretty good. And I'm going to chop them. I don't need tons because I don't have tons of meat to make this. So I just want to chop these pretty finely so they're evenly distributed in the meat mixture. And sometimes I want to I decide, okay, I'm going to fry these in a pan or I'm going to bake them. If I'm making a lot more, I'm going to bake them. If I do a small amount like this, it's definitely going to be a frying time because I can keep my eye on them and I can turn them constantly and really get a lot of good browning and flavor going on. All right, so that's done. Okay. Again, this is not a complex recipe, but it's a good one. I don't like fresh garlic in meatballs. I think it doesn't cook enough and it's too biting. So I like to use garlic powder specifically for meatballs. So I like Badia. I think that's how you say it. This company, they make great herbs and spice for your spice rack. I would recommend them. They're way less expensive than the other ones, but they're not those cheap things that you find at like the discount stores for $1. This was probably like $3 to $4 as opposed to $8 or $6 or 99 cents. So it's kind of middle ground, but very good quality. I'm gonna do a little bit of basil, dried. Since I put those Fresno peppers in, I don't want too much heat, but I'm just gonna do a little dash of pressed red. A little bit of onion powder. Again, I don't think it's necessary to chop an onion to put it into meatballs. Some people like that flavor. I don't think it cooks enough because of the timing it's in the pan. So the powder is ideal because it's mellow already. If anything I wanted fresh, it would be chive or a scallion that I would chop finely and put it in there because I know that's going to cook through properly in the process. I think this might be nice too. A little bit of smoked paprika. Not too much because I don't want to overwhelm it, but I like that flavor. And then the best tools, as Ina Garten says, are clean hands. So there we go. Okay, this seems a little bit wet, so I'm going to add a few more breadcrumbs. Just like one little scattered layer over the top, and that should be enough. Push them down in, get this nice. And what's going to happen is all that fat, basically, and moisture is going to get absorbed into those breadcrumbs, and it's going to actually stabilize the meatballs so they don't just turn to mush in a pan. But it's just going to take a second to mix this together. And once, it smells so good, and it's not even cooked yet. It's just all those nice herbs and that saltiness and the flavors and the pepper. I think it's just such a nice recipe, and it's so easy. I mean, what did that literally take me I don't know, 5 minutes to make? And if I wasn't talking, it would have been much quicker. So once you're done with this stirring and you're mixing, the consistency is kind of like obvious when it's ready, but you should be able to pick it up in one ball without too much of it sticking to the bowl. And once you do that, you have a nice amount. You can just start making your little rounds. And I like small meatballs. Some people are like into this gigantic thing that looks like a monstrosity, and I'm just like, give me little things that I can put in a soup, or I can put on pasta, or I can put in a salad. If I chop them in half, I can put them on a pizza. It's not going to be as much work to do something with them later, which I think is great. Like a tool for just further cooking, like with leftovers. So could actually make really good meatball subs if you use a hot dog bun. So it doesn't look like this monstrosity sandwich. You get this nice tight thing with some meatballs down the center, maybe a cheese, and whatever toppings you like. How nice. But I love almost like the idea of like an Italian wedding soup with these little meatballs in it. It's so good, and it's so tasty, and the meatballs are hearty. So it's really nice for even like cool weather, but not cold weather. It almost feels like sitting on the back porch having a nice warm dinner, but not anything too heavy. All right, so that's 34 meatballs. I think 34, 35. That's close. So now I'm gonna let them rest for a few minutes, just so that the panko breadcrumbs will sort of absorb and swell and start to stabilize those meatballs. And then I'm just gonna warm up a pan, put a little bit of oil in it, put them in there, not too high, because if I cook them too high quickly, the outside is gonna get really rubbery and the inside is gonna be mushy. So I wanna cook them slowly and bring the temperature all the way up through the meatball. And once that happens, I can start turning them and turning them and turning them and adding a little bit more oil if I need to. And then at the end, I could do like maybe a wine sauce or cream sauce, something like that, just to give them a little bit something extra that will stick and cling to them, which is so nice, because then you don't really have to worry about doing too much sauce for the pasta or whatever you're going to add it to. All right, so pan is warm. I've got oil in here. Not too much, but a little bit. I'm just gonna put the meatballs in. I'm gonna start on the outside of the pan because the pan tends to be hotter in the very center. If I add all the meatballs to the center and work my way out, by the time I get to the outside, the ones in the middle are going to be cooking already and too quickly. So I'm going to put the smallish ones on the outside. Well, I'm doing a horrible job of that right this minute, but the small-ish ones on the outside and then the biggest ones in the middle, so that things tend to cook a little bit more evenly if you do that. So you're not having a panic moment where, you know, you've got burnt things in the middle and then everything on the outside is sort of raw. So I'm going to drop these in. I have the temperature at about medium so that the oil is hot enough to sear but not cook through. I just want nice, even warmth coming through. Within a minute or so, you're going to hear the sizzling, obviously, and you can start moving things around. What can get problematic is dirty fingers and hands, but using the right utensil is a great thing. So I love using chopsticks to cook with. It just keeps everything so clean and even. So I'm going to let these cook a little tiny bit just to get at least one little side seared. And then when I start turning them, you'll see the color and you'll see who you have to turn more often and where your evenness in your pan and where your unevenness is. Just keep up with it, that's all. It's not too bad. See, this one's already coloring. It's in the middle and it's really showing. Nice. Okay, this temperature is a little high. Drop that. And I'm going to turn these as quickly as I can so that we're getting evenness. The good thing about turning them, and you don't have to turn them exactly, like flip them over perfectly like a coin, because eventually you're going to start rolling these around all together. So you're getting all the sides. But what you want to do is get off that first side because you don't want to burn it. You'll end up with one flat side and the rest will be underdone. We want something a little bit more even. Alright, nice, looking good. Just keep moving them around. And once you get that second side seared, I feel like you can just kind of start turning everything willy-nilly almost. And when you see pink, just turn it over. Very nice. Try not to be too rough with them because you'll just start to break them apart, but these are pretty stable. See, if I had that on high still, or medium high, the one side would be blackened, and I do not want that. I want this even cooking going on. First of all, my artifact, more flavor when you brown. When you burn, just ruins everything. It's terrible. And you put all that 5 minutes of effort in putting them together. Nice. So I have a little bit of Fukian wine from Japan I'm going to grab. We like to call this effing wine at home, if you can read that label. But this is really nice. It's flavorful. It's a lot like almost like a marsala. So it's just mellow and mild, and it's really tasty, but it's not like red wine. It doesn't taste like white wine. It just has like that kind of nice, mellow, sort of silky, and like simple flavor that just goes perfectly with like any meat you're cooking. Marsala is so good. But I think that's basically what it would taste like to most people. Put a little bit of that in it. There's just flavor. I mean, it really burns off pretty easily and quickly because I only do about a tablespoon at a time, but it actually starts creating this little sauce between the fat from the meatballs and then the olive oil that I'm adding. I'm actually going to put some butter in here in a minute to finish these off. I might put a little bit more of the wine in. And that's basically your sauce. Now you could have started with a little bit of a base of chopped onion and celery and cooked that down a little bit and then thrown the meatballs on top of that and cooked that together, and that would have been really nice because it's like a heartier sauce. But I'm just looking for something kind of like drippy, whatever. Something that just tastes good that's on the meatballs that's going to go onto the pasta. A little bit more oil, and then I'll do some more butter. Or some butter. I haven't even put any butter on here yet. Now that I think about it. A little bit here, a little bit there. Looks good. All right. Stir these in a little bit. Get that butter melted and covering all those meatballs. And then what I might do, just to be sure that I'm cooked through, is I might put a lid on this, put it down to like the lowest temperature, and just let them kind of rest in that residual heat. That's a nice way to get them really even, but stay moist, and so that when you bite into them, they're not rubbery, but they're also not just crumbly. I just don't like that. I want something that has a little bit of bite back to it, but also isn't, you know, hard. That's the worst. But they're looking nice. I think I'm going to put a tiny bit more of this fukin wine in, just to get my sauce going. And a speck of water. And that's it. Oh, you know what? I think I'm going to... Once I'm done, I'm going to put a little bit of heavy cream in there to really give it some body. Oh, that smells so good. And not overwhelming. It's not like the garlic is pungent. It's not like the pepper is burning my nose. It's none of that. It's just all these different flavors and, you know, umami flavors that are together that really make this like mildness that make these so tasty. Really good. Sauce is really coming through now. Okay, a little bit of cream in here. And I don't even pretend to be a cook or a chef, but I do love to cook, and I love to learn how to cook things that I don't cook, and I love to cook the things that I love to cook because I've been doing it for years. So once you get like your own little kind of repertoire of what you love to cook, you'll just enjoy it more because you can rely on yourself to create those recipes that, you know, are just like off the top of your head. Oh, I think I'll just make meatballs with sauce and make pasta. Boom, dinner's done in like half an hour. It's so great. These are ready to go. I think what I'll do is I'm going to put the lid on, and they will just sort of set in there with that heat and cook through and get nice and tender. And then I'm going to make my pasta, and then it's going to be dinner time. Good stuff. One more ingredient that I forgot to add while I was doing this was fresh nutmeg. Believe it or not, this spice goes with almost everything, especially things like this. I just use the little nutmeg, little guy like this, microplane, and I just do it right over the top into the sauce on the meatballs. Stir it in, and that's it. It just takes a few little swipes of that, and it's an absolutely perfect little flavor that's just interesting. It's not cinnamony really. Everybody thinks it's cinnamon, and it's not. It's like more musky and more earthy than that. It's like the idea of like a mushroom or something. It's like kind of like the call of the wild, I guess. Delicious.